How's it going? This is Hoiman, and today we're taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Cure Muse figure. So again, this is a web exclusive figure, and overall the box for this figure is pretty small, which is nice. But you do have the window to see the figure inside, and then the box itself is a nice rainbow coloured colour scheme. And then you have the top, and then the side shows pictures of the figure. And then you have legal stuff for the bottom. And in the back you have various pictures of the figure. And to open the box, just lift open the side flap. And then lift open the front cover. And there's the figure all together with her accessories. So first you do get some instructions showing what the figure comes with and how to operate the accessories. So here's the actual figure itself, and overall this is a really nice figure. Again, she is a big improvement over the older PreCure figures, and because this figure is smaller than the usual PreCure figure, that's just because of the character itself, but even at such a small scale she's still really well detailed and nicely sculpted. And then overall all the detail that you'd expect is present. And it's just a really nice looking figure overall. So taking a closer look at the face, I feel that they have captured the likeness of the character really well. And then moving on to her hair, which is probably the most eye-catching part. It's really nicely sculpted with all the different strands of hair. And then you do have all the tips as well, which are really nicely sculpted. And then the hair itself is a nice yellow matte finish, but you have a lot of lighter and darker tones to really bring out the details and shade. And overall the hair is a very solid piece, and towards the end they are slightly flexible, but you still have to be careful in case you break them. But the ribbons here are a much softer material, but again you just have to be careful in case you break them. And although I said the hair is nicely sculpted, there are still some visible seam lines, like the lines on the back here, and then the line here. So you can see some of the seam lines where they connected the hair together, but overall isn't super noticeable. And then moving down to her outfit, you have the nice ribbon on the chest, very nicely sculpted with the translucent gem here as well. And moving down to a skirt, again you have all the different layers that are nicely sculpted. You have all the creases and folds in the dress, and you have the darker tones as well to bring out the details. And again the ribbons on here are softer material, but again you just have to be careful you don't break them. And moving down to her shoes, again nicely sculpted with the ribbons, and for the most part all the paintwork is very nice and clean. So for articulation, the neck is on a single ball joint, so she can look down about that much. And as you've already guessed, the hair on this figure is very heavy, so it does weigh down her head quite a bit. And because of the way it's sculpted, she can't really look up at all, but she can tilt her head side to side and then also twist as well. So that's nice. And then moving on to the shoulders. These pieces are actually on a hinge, so you can move those up and down, and that's to allow for the shoulder joint, which is the ball joint, so you can move that around however you like. It's also on a hinge, you can bring your arm out to the side. You can bring them forward as well, but it is restricted due to the sleeve. Same for going back, but she does have the bicep swivel, and then she has single jointed elbow. And then for her hands, it's on a ball joint, so you can kind of move them around and also rotate. And this piece itself is also on a hinge, so you can swivel that around as well. And what I do like about this figure is that because it's such a small figure, instead of ball joints for the hands, they're actually on a straight peg, so that allows for the hands to be easily swappable. So it's nice that Bandai considered that just in case the figure might break at the wrist joints. But moving down to her torso, it's on a single ball joint, so she can lean forward about that much, not a whole lot. Same for going back, it's pretty restricting. She can lean side to side slightly and then also twist. And moving down to her leg joints, which is probably my main gripe with the figure. And because it's such a solid piece and it's very narrow as well, it pretty much hinders all her leg articulation. But the waist is on a ball joint, so you can move her legs very slightly and also twist as well. And then each hip is on a ball joint, so she can kick about that far to the side, kick forward that much, kick back that much. She has the thigh swivel. And then she has the single jointed knees as well. Get quite a lot of range. And then she has ball jointed ankles. So then go back about that much, forward that much, can lean side to side as well as twist. So for the most part, even at such a small scale, she has all the articulation you'd expect the Figuarts to have, but she is quite restricted in the torso and the hip articulation, and the heavy hair does make it a bit difficult to pose as well. I think it would be nice if the dress was separated into two pieces and was a softer material to allow a bit more range of motion, but as it is now, it's very restricting, so you are going to be quite limited on the poses they can do with this figure. Well, that's the figure. Let's take a look at the accessories. For faces, she comes with a default smiling face, a happy smiling face, a face with her eyes closed, and then finally an angry shouting face. For hands, she comes with a pair of open palmed hands, a pair of fists, two chopping hands, one hand to hold her weapon, one posing styled hand, and then a pair of hands to hold her weapon. She also comes with this extra neck joint, which is the same joint but it just doesn't have the hinge, and this is to help support her hair. And as I've showed with this hair, the hair is very back heavy, so it's nice that they included this. She also comes with an interchangeable chest piece, which is the same but just without the gem attached. And then she also comes with her main weapon as well. Since it's really small, it's really well sculpted and just packs a lot of detail. And then there's even the translucent parts in there, it makes it look really nice. And then you do have the hole in the back as well, and that's so that you can connect this piece. So what you do is you connect it to the weapon, and then this piece hooks around the figure's wrist joint, and that's so that you can have her holding the weapon in hand. And then finally she does come with a display base, which is pretty much needed for this figure. And you do have the nice patterns as well as the character's name. And because the figure is much smaller than the usual PreCure figure, the stand is shorter, and that's to help support her. So my final thoughts are, overall it's pretty impressive how they managed to fit all this detail and sculpt into such a small figure. But there are some drawbacks, and mainly being that she's a web exclusive figure, so she is quite pricey, and the figure is relatively old now, so the price has gone up for her quite a bit. And there are still some QC issues, such as the crown not being fully centered on her forehead. It's kind of leaning to the side slightly, and like I already mentioned, the skirt does restrict most of her leg articulation, so most of the time she is going to be very static in her poses. And then the really back heavy hair as well, and the way that it's sculpted inwards makes it a bit tricky to pose as well. But if you're a fan of the character or the show, I can still recommend this figure. Overall, it's a very nice looking figure and a very nice accurate representation of the character. But that's my review. Thank you for watching and enjoy some pictures.